What's up, guys? Howdy. Well, I had a meeting tonight and I got canceled on. So instead, we are doing a live stream. Thank you. This is a Uniqlo tee. My wife picked this out because she knows that I am obsessed with it. I had it saved to a bunch of mood boards for forever and missed it when it was actually in the Uniqlo store. It was like a normal $15 t-shirt, and she somehow found it. Someone else. What's up, YOLO? Hi. Hello, dead meme. Feels very strange calling everyone by web names. Hey, Greg. I do know you. Hello. I imagine I know most of you guys, like everybody in the room. Brevetti. I am terrible with keeping up with screen names or normal names, but hello. Oh, it's so good. So I need a little bit of help from you guys because I have watched very few live streams myself, and the few times that I have, it's been like when like FKA Twigs like turns on live for like 8 minutes, and it's just her like staring at the screen like in her bed, which I think maybe. Oh, thank you. Lindsay is goals for sure. Um, and Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience knowing like actually what to do in live stream. So how do these typically work? Like, do I answer questions? I would like to answer questions. That would be cool. Yeah, we have some like heavy hitters in the view right now. We have YOLO, who runs High Fashion Talk, which is pretty excellent. If everybody, I imagine everyone is already on High Fashion Talk, but let's talk about Salvia. Yeah, we should actually talk about Salvia. Guys, Salvia is a very dangerous but very euphoric drug that gives you a fleeting high that it's illegal in most states, so you got to figure out which states it's not illegal. No. Salvia is a High Fashion Talk is not lame. That's not true. Slander and lies. Salvia is a artist in some capacity that has worked with Rick Owens in the past, but did not work with him this season, and has accused him of stealing her look. If everybody does not know what Salvia looks like, they should look her up. It's not spelled like the drug, it's spelled some other way. But yeah, it's pretty, I mean, if you just look up like Rick Owens Runway Salvia and just spell it however way it sounds, I'm sure you'll find it. She is bonkers looking. She looks awesome, and yeah, she's accusing him of stealing her look. I'm not familiar enough with like the way that she looks and like her, oh yeah, it is with a J. Thank you, Greg. I'm not familiar enough with like the way in which she does body modification stuff to know whether or not Rick is actually stealing that. All of the pictures that you can see online of this, like all the headline pictures, are of the look where Rick kind of like gave like this like woman a kind of like mostly bald head, where like it's like bald everywhere but the back. And I mean that is sort of something that's like a very mild version of what Salvia does, but I don't know. Is anyone in the chat like really familiar with Salvia as an artist? Like not just her collaboration with Rick, but like her like overall 10 years ago in a show. Yeah, see that's a good point. And then also it's like, I mean, like when Salvia does stuff like makes her leg look like a vagina or something. Well, I should be more careful. Salvia, I honestly don't know what the pronouns for Salvia are. So for them, like when they make their like leg look like a vagina or something like crazy, that's what I know their work to be about, is stuff that is like body modification to like incorporate a high heel but then make it look like it's part of their foot, and so it like is this very like cringy, like painful looking thing, and it's very visceral. And yeah, trans rights, yeah, man. So that's sort of what I know Salvia for. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I know it's not illegal, but I don't think that's really what they're talking about. I was at an event in London where Rick was signing books, his store, and Salvia was there, and they talked and were pretty friendly with each other. Yeah, I imagine that it's not. I imagine that Salvia is not angry, like emotional, like yell at him if she saw him kind of angry, but just sort of was pushed by Caroline using latex to make the front of the head bald. Yeah, I know. YOLO, have you guys talked about this in High Fashion Talk a bunch? I imagine that this has gone up. Rick apologized to her. Yeah, I just don't know how Rick can. It seems very easy to trample on that general aesthetic because Salvia, I think, has been sort of a front runner for changing the look of avant-garde fashion so much. And I talked to Parma Ham, who is their intermediary. Oh, that's cool. What did Parma have any like official closing statements? Can I pull up like an article, YOLO? Parma Ham, best or worst members of the Antwerp Six. We'll circle back around to that. Salvia. People saying, I think their Insta has been taken down. Or they deleted it. Oh my. Rick said it's basically the first time Rick realized he's the man. Oh, yeah. It's sort of weird. They did take it down. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. I saw a tweet recently where someone... Just tried to find the post and it's gone. Found it. Okay, cool. Greg, I wish I could like give you permissions to like send stuff through. But I saw this tweet by someone where they were like times that Rick Owens has like sexually abused his power over employees, a thread, and then I opened the thread and the only other tweet was this tweet saying that's never happened. And a bunch of people respond to it and were like, I was weirdly ready for that information. And so I feel like Rick has gotten, and I think that only kind of says that a lot of people are, I think a lot of people subconsciously have accepted that Rick is like the man. Because he's just so huge at this point. But also, just every interaction that I've heard anyone talking about with Rick is just that he's very, like, yogi-like, and that he's just very calm, and he's kind of this sort of, what's up, dude? Hey. Very calm and very kind of emanates a peacefulness towards other people, whereas I feel like a lot of people in fashion, especially people who are in charge, we get a lot of cokeheads. What's up, Ian? Your profile picture is always so weird to me, Ian. I'm never quite sure what I'm looking at, what facial expression I'm looking at. Someone asked for best and worst members of the Antwerp Six. BT Dubs, is this music loud enough that it's present, but not so loud that it's overwhelming? Let me know what you think. Rate 1 out of 10. Best and worst members of the Antwerp Six. I don't even know how to rate that. So subtle and cagey about your views on Zara. Can you please elaborate? I think that Zara should dig a large pit, should be required by law to dig a large pit, and then once they've dug the pit, I think the people that made them dig the pit should be like, you didn't even have to do that for anything. We're not going to use it for anything. You guys suck. Now say I'm sorry 100,000 times. And then they should be made to say, I'm sorry 100,000 times. And then after they're done, everyone can be like, we don't accept your apology. Now fill that hole back in, you asshole. And then they should be made to fill the hole back in by law. That is my new opinion about Zara. Best and worst members of the Antwerp Six. Why have you chosen Zara as the focus of your hatred? I think okay, this actually is a good question. So the reason that Zara is such a focal point for me is because I feel like I hear a lot of teenage guys saying, teenage guys specifically, like, cause like, I feel like a lot of guys sort of have this thing where they're able to move through their lives and literally not think about clothes in any capacity. It's like, maybe my mom will make me wear something. Ask me again in a second, Ian. Maybe my mom will make me wear something, maybe not. I don't really care. I can just go through life literally not even thinking about what clothes I'm putting on my body. And then a lot of guys have this like wake up moment when they're like teenagers, some guys do, where they're like, oh my gosh, I suddenly care about clothes so much. I had this when I was like 21. And they're like, where can I get clothes? Where can I get clothes? Oh my gosh, I cannot spend $800 on a coat. Where do I get clothes? Where do I get clothes? And then guys come across Zara, and because Zara is not everywhere, it's not like H&M where it's like ubiquitous, like absolutely everywhere. I think Zara to a lot of guys gets mistaken for a designer brand. And that is a mistake that's a pretty easy one to avoid if you're like an adult who's been an adult for a while or whatever. But if you're brand new to the whole fashion thing, this is certainly a mistake I made. They're just like, oh my gosh, this is like a more affordable designer brand. And I like in women's wear, this often happens with the brand like Loft or whatever, where like people are like, these are nice clothes, and it's like those are the same clothes that are at H&M. A lot of it comes from social media things. It starts to be as community surrounding clothes, dressing up, loving. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that like a lot of like guys think of it as like cost is another example where it's sort of through the miracle of marketing is able to trick people into thinking that it's an actual like designer brand when it is clearly not. And so that's sort of why I focus on it, because like everybody knows that H&M sucks, but just some people do it anyway. But Zara, I think there's some misunderstandings about. Designer poems, jeans are very much my piece, whereas everything else he does is so impressive. Yeah, Junya is great. I've not. Lindsay, have you gotten anything from Junia's women's stuff? I've gotten a few pieces from men's Junia, and it's brilliant. The construction on it is wild. The pants especially are some of the best pants. Like if you just took it down to like pattern pieces, they're the best design of pants I've ever had. Job making people know fashions beyond wearing clothes. Hey, thank you, Mercy. Any recommendations for natural affordable clothes brands like Rick Capital? Is DC playful legit? I do not even know what that means. This trench coat collection so impressive. The cheapest way to get got it. The cheapest way to get into designer clothes, in my opinion, for any kind of designer clothes is to just get them secondhand. There are not, if you're in a position like me, this is also the position I am in, where you need to find clothes and you're starting out by asking the question, where can I find more affordable? Then you are in a financial situation, again, this is one that I am in as well, where you probably can't buy clothes brand new. For me, that's never been a big deal. I like shopped at thrift stores a whole bunch when I was in high school and stuff, and I didn't care about that at all. I very much advocate for supporting designers that you really love, but in a lot of cases, you just like can't afford to spend like crazy money on clothes, so you got to get them secondhand. And I think that a lot of times guys look at this is so much better if I have an editing app so that I can like cut out points where I'm like, oh, let me think actually. I feel like a lot of people figure out that they want to get more into clothes. They look at clothes and they're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Where is this from? And they find out that the coats from that brand are going to cost $850 or $1,200 or whatever. And they're like, holy shit, I cannot spend that on a coat. And so they start looking at secondhand options, and then they get burned out really quickly because their thought is, I want the coat from the picture that I just saw. Where are the people that are selling that coat? And if your scope is that narrow, you're going to get burned out really, really quickly. Like if you're like, I want like a pair of CCP drips and that's all I want, that is the coolest fucking thing to me. And it is very cool. Like that is all I can think about. I must have CCP drips. And it's like, great, it's time to shell out over $1,000 or else you just can't have that thing. At a certain point, things do just kind of cost what they cost, even secondhand. What I would suggest is, to answer this question completely, is you have to go secondhand, and you really need to open your mind up a bunch about what is acceptable clothing for you to get. Oftentimes that means learning about a brand like Visvim and then being like, okay, cool, what other brands are in this category of Japanese take on Americana that's like really, really nicely made and is like kind of limited and sort of is rare or whatever? Because there's probably like like 10 to 15 brands ultimately that fit into that category that you have access to through like Rakuten and Yahoo Auctions and all this stuff. So open your scope up from one brand to these 10 or 15 brands, and then don't just be looking for like, oh, I have to find like a coat by this brand. Be like, I want to find something that represents the aesthetic that I've so fallen in love with. Where can I find that aesthetic? And it might take a few months, but just look for something that's in your price range, and then like zone in on this like thing where it's like, oh cool, this is a $200 item, it is secondhand, it's in really good shape, and this seems to really represent that like spirit that I love so much in VizBim. That's what I want to get. Because again, if you're just looking for like a pair of drips, or you're looking for a pair of FBTs or whatever, super hyped items or super well-known items or items that have been worn by Kanye are just like never going to go below a certain price. I mean, there's stuff from like the APC Kanye collaboration that like I was obsessed with that weren't even like main items from that collection. Like the like super long sleeved hoodie, the like dark blue hoodie. I was obsessed with that when that collection came out. I really wanted it. Couldn't afford it retail. And I was like, I'll just get it secondhand. This is going to be great. It'll just like take like a year and a half of waiting. That hoodie is still hundreds of dollars. Like it's way more than I would want to spend on a hoodie still. So there's just certain things that are never going to become affordable. Open your mind up to more possibilities. More questions. That was a super long answer to that question. You're welcome, Evan. Number 9 is the perfect example. Oh shoot, we had a question about number 9 and now it's gone. Hang on, am I able to scroll? Oh, I can scroll up. Sick! Number 9 is the perfect example of a great designer slacking off and putting on a lackluster collection after lackluster collection. The last good show number 9 had was in 2005. I don't know a lot about number 9. I've like poked fun at them before publicly, and I thought that was kind of funny because I think that some of their stuff looks a little bit like freshman year of art school kind of stuff, like those pants with the pockets that like somebody stapled onto them. I don't love a lot of stuff by number 9, just on a purely like emotional reaction off the top of my head kind of way. Granted, I don't know a lot about Takahiro Miyashita. I've heard that doesn't he not run the brand anymore? Like, isn't he not like with number 9 anymore? And that like he's like fully doing the soloist, and that's why it's called the soloist, is because he like broke off from the band. Is minimalism the new main trend? I think minimalism is always going to be a thing, especially in menswear, because menswear is so tied to this idea of utilitarianism. But no, actually, I think it's sort of the opposite. I think right now the big thing, the big trend, like the zeitgeisty kind of trend, not like the trend that lasts one season, but the trend that's like a 5 or 6 year period, especially in menswear, is this kind of opulence idea. I think it's sort of the opposite. I think when we were all really into streetwear, I think that's when the minimalism idea was really heavy, when like guys were really fixated on finding the perfect white t-shirt and stuff. But, top 3 favorite brands right now, off the top of my head, are Hamcus, Hamcus. If you've never heard of that brand before, write that down or do something. Hamcus is the coolest brand that no one seems to have heard of for some reason. I could make Hamcus my answer to all 3. Hamcus does like, it's like VizVim, but instead of like being inspired by Americana, they're fixated on like dystopian future clothing. It's like clothing where like mankind is trying to like survive an apocalypse. And also the whole brand circles around a sci-fi storyline, like a actual sci-fi storyline with like characters and stuff, which I fuck with so heavily it is unimaginable that I could express it with words. Hamcus, and then I've been thinking a lot about Rick Owens lately, and Old Margiela, because of this series. I actually was working on that all day. I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. But yeah, Old Margiela stuff is fascinating, because I'm finding so much stuff in there that is foundational to stuff that I like haven't even thought about, that I just sort of take for granted in modern fashion. Just things that, and I mean, I'll detail that more in the next video, because I can't even remember the terminology off the top of my head. Like, I found this thing where they used now I'm trying to find one word in a 12-page document. Oh, hang on, here we go. So, okay, so this is for the video that's coming up. This is my description. These are just my notes I wrote down for look 10. This look is an ankle-length men's sweater that buttons down the entire front, so it is being worn as a dress. Men's sweater being worn as a dress. You can't see that super clearly in the video. That information comes from the Women's Collections book. But here we can see the thing that and this is where like I edit things to like pause and like focus in on certain parts of it. Here we see the thing that makes the outfit so distinct. On the back, it's not sweater material, it's a cotton lining fabric. And we see that the garment can be cinched in the back using what's called a gross-grain martingale. And I don't know if we have any equestrian people in the stream, but a martingale is the part of what is worn by a horse when you're doing horseback riding that attaches like right here. And then like kind of it's the rope thing that goes down from like the neck into like the back so that the horse can't like raise its head all the way up. So they cut pieces of that off and then make that where it's the part of it that like cinches in the back or whatever, so it's like reused materials. So like when you see the picture of it, when we actually like do the video, you will immediately recognize that to be something that you've seen in a million different coats. And as far as I can tell, it is all based on this Martin Margiela thing, where he, for this collection, really honed in on doing these like cinched things that are connecting. But yeah. I don't think I made a derogatory reference about Jews, but if you could elaborate, I would be happy to assure you that I did not make a derogatory statement about Jews. I'm actually starting a Patreon, Simon. That will be here very soon. No, I'm not. They actually might have played Bjork. I'm doing a truancy mix by Kiernan Laveau, who I had not heard of, but I like so far. It's like good background techno. But yeah, I actually do have a Patreon coming soon. Because to be frank, and since there's 77 of you here, I can go ahead and say this and make it somewhat public now. I would very much like to start doing this as my job. I would love to work for you people doing this. And that obviously will only be possible if there's like money involved, so I can eat food and like drive my car occasionally and stuff. But yeah, the goal ultimately is to be able to go to runway shows and like actually attend Fashion Week and do instead of every season doing 1 or 2 shows maximum and then just doing a bunch of historic shows, to be able to do like runway shows from the past when we're not in Fashion Month, and then when we're on Fashion Month to actually be able to cover the like shows that are important to you guys and are important to me. So yeah, I have a lot of goals for this thing, and that will only be possible once we launch the Patreon. But yeah, more info coming soon. Let me scroll up through this. Oh man, I missed Sahil. Dang, that's my boy. What are some good websites for buying or bidding on archival pieces? So I just use Grailed, obviously. eBay is shockingly good. eBay's a mess to search through. There's a lot of garbage on eBay, but it is really worth your time. I found some shockingly good stuff, and Lindsay's found some crazy stuff. Oh, speaking of Lindsay, she got me a gift, and I'm going to show you guys it in a second because it's so sick. But that, and then Rakuten is another one that is a mess because you can't search by size, and you basically all you can do with Rakuten is you can set it to like menswear and then search like Comme des Garçons, and then it just shows you everything by Comme des Garçons. It's thousands of results. No searching by size, no searching by date, no searching by color. It's nothing. It's literally just a mess. But you can find insane deals there. And even after you're paying for shipping from Japan and stuff, it's still just a wildly good deal. So Rakuten is really good. Yahoo Japan Auctions, I've heard, is really good. I've never used that before. If you just want something really bad, like a specific archival piece that's going to be more common in Japan, I would look at a proxy service. I've never done that myself. I don't know which ones to recommend or whatever. Noah Johnson talks about them a lot in the GQ Style podcast called Corporate Lunch. which is a really good fashion podcast if you are interested in fashion in general or interested in trend forecasting, because it's a lot of it is like trend forecasting stuff in the very true sense of the word. Hope that answers your question, Martin. I recently found inspiration in Liam Gallagher's singer from Oasis aesthetic. His style all his own hasn't changed. Also Nick Cave. Yeah, Nick Cave has really good style. I'm not familiar with those other two. How do I get inspired? Well, at this point, I just get inspired. That was the Jeremy question. Hi, Jeremy, by the way. I mostly am able to get inspired from you guys. I get sent so much stuff because like everybody talks to me and stuff, which I really appreciate because I love talking to you guys. I get inspired because people just send me stuff at this point, which is great. It's way better than how I was getting inspiration for things before, which was just kind of wandering around on the internet. But if you're looking for like random good inspiration stuff, I would go look at the old care tags threads. I'm trying to look up the URL right now, see what the URL is. It is, I think it's .org. Yeah. So there's an old forum, old-fashioned forum that me and a lot of other people used to use called care tags that is just care-tags.org. And there is a lot of very good threads on that. It's kind of like Style Zeitgeist, where it's worth just getting on there to just poke around and look and stuff. They have it categorized, but the categories are on purpose very confusing, and so like they would like name the "What are you wearing today" thread tiger stripes, and there would be no indication that that's where like what are you wearing today is. But anyway, it's very confusing, but it's worth looking through because the imagery on there is incredible. I have heard of Aphex Twin. No, I have not heard of Aphex Twin. Blanche Sessions asked if I'm launching my own line. No, I don't design clothes. I like clothes a lot. I don't design them. Just discovered Hamkiss because of you and OMG. You're right. Yeah, Hamkiss is incredible. Everybody go look at Hamkiss. HAMCUS. Are you a fan of electronic music? I'm a gargantuan fan of electronic music. It is one of my 3 passions next to clothes and sex. You're a fan of electronic music? Check out Machine Girl. Most exciting act coming out of electronic. I will check out Machine Girl. I've actually never checked out Machine Girl before. Saved. Done. Give Bliss cash. Yeah, also give Bliss cash. Send cash to my address. Thoughts on Owen? I like Owen's stuff. I've talked to Owen a couple of times, and I like his inspiration, and I like his process, and I like the final result an awful lot. And he seems to be doing it right from a production standpoint too. He's in with a good factory. He's not just like making it. I don't know of anybody who's done this, but I imagine the easy way of like starting your own brand would be to do one of these cheapo like put a print on a hoodie websites, and he's doing nothing like that. He's going the same route that like established brands go. He's just making it through like a factory and doing full runs of stuff, which is great. I bought a bunch of rag and bone stuff new with tags on eBay for dummy prices. It's not super high fashion designer, but encapsulates how good deals are. Yeah, and rag and bone is great. It's not like high fashion, I guess, but it's an incredible brand. You got to see the Japanese search term crib sheet. No, YOLO. Okay, so YOLO asked, have you gotten the Japanese search term crib sheet? I have not gotten that, but I will have to search for that. That must be a easier way to search on Rakuten. Grass Mayers. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to pronounce that, but any insights on fashion fatigue? I often find myself opening Instagram and whatever and seeing the same stuff over and over again. It makes me feel like the magic of clothing is gone. Yeah, I don't look to my Instagram feed for inspiration because the same kind of stuff gets favored by that algorithm. I would avoid stuff that is dependent on an algorithm, to be honest with you. Again, if you've never looked through Style Zeitgeist's forum is incredible. That is where so there's like people who can afford extremely expensive clothes, and then there's fashion nerds. And a lot of times those like 2 groups don't overlap very much, where it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with CCP. I could also never afford any CCP. Style Zeitgeist is the place where the people who are most in the position to afford extremely expensive clothes overlap with fashion nerds. And so it's people who are just obsessing about the details of clothes and stuff, but they're actually like copping up on like $2,000 coats and then being like, look at the stitching on this and stuff. You can glean an enormous amount of information, really, really good information from Style Zeitgeist, and again, from Care Tags too. Care Tags is also awesome. Oh, thank you, Yolo. Yolo just sent me that thing. I'll post that on Instagram or Twitter or something. Let's see. I'm gonna do. Somebody asked what. David asked what podcasts I recommend. I recommend GQ Style's podcast. So GQ Style is not like GQ. GQ overall is actually getting a lot better. They sucked for a long time. But they changed their creative, or their editor-in-chief has changed. It's now Will Welch, and he is changing most of the things about the magazine. They are no longer like a how to tie a tie kind of publication. They're I don't really know what they are now, but they're very much not like are you wearing the right kind of shirt with the right kind of pants? It is now very much an interesting publication, whereas the other one was just kind of like, I either need this information or I don't, and I don't, so why would I ever read this? But GQ Style is the like high fashion nerd like sub magazine of GQ's, and their podcast is called Corporate Lunch. That one is really good. The American Fashion podcast is excellent. It is information rich. It is super, super good. I'm not super fluent on all of the fashion podcasts because there were a bunch of them that cropped up all of the sudden. I'm going to do a whole episode about that at some point. I'm thinking about starting a series called Fashion School where I just kind of go over fashion resources. Yeah, so Vlad asked me to repeat it. So it's Corporate Lunch was that one. I've not looked at Balenciaga Spring Summer 20 yet. Okay, so somebody said that I should start a podcast, and I have a thought on that. Like, isn't it kind of frustrating to like listen to like minute details about clothing and not be shown what they mean? Like, I feel like podcasts are great for talking about fashion from like a ideological standpoint, or like from a like thoughts and feelings kind of standpoint, or even like a trends sort of thing. But then once you start getting into stuff like, look, in Gucci Fall Winter 18 was inspired by monarch butterflies. Here are the two next to each other. Like, I feel like thank you, Greg. The smoldering baritone would probably work out nicely on a podcast if only I did not stutter so much. Yeah, the Adult Swim bumps are actually very funny. You're right, Sebastian. I love Craig Green, and you guys are about to find out. Alfred asked thoughts on Craig Green. I love Craig Green, and you guys are about to find out just how much I like Craig Green on Tuesday. Thoughts on question. What do you think about it? Oh, I like Stats Bullet. Yeah, Stats Bullet is cool. I really like the name a lot. Ian asked about this. Stats Bullet is cool. I think that it's very cool that guys who are like kind of in the culture and are like in the fashion nerd position are becoming designers of like kind of small limited release brands. Because that's a cool perspective that I haven't seen anywhere else. Somebody who is a huge fan of fashion, who's like, I am now going to take all that I have gleaned from being a fan of fashion, and I am now going to produce fashion. That is a cool perspective that I have not seen from anybody else, because most of the time, like, we have like guys who are like, oh yeah, I grew up either like making doll dresses for like, making like doll dresses and like making like dresses for my sisters, and then I grew up and I was like, yes, I'm a dressmaker now. Or we have like guys like Craig Green, who's like, I just kind of come from a family where we just made stuff, and you know, it's like, well, we need a doghouse, like I guess we're building a doghouse. And then I became an adult, and fashion was kind of an accident, and I'm here now doing this. It never really was a thought to me before. Whereas these guys are very much like they've spent their lives obsessing over clothes and the nuance and the storytelling behind things like RAF and Undercover and stuff. And then they're like, now I'm going to go and I'm going to do the thing myself. Yeah, I think that's a really cool perspective. couple of these are like, I don't know if I want to go into it right now. Fashion Archive is a good video on fashion resources. Oh yeah. Fashion Archive does actually have a really good video on fashion resources. I remember watching that one. That's one of the videos from him that I saw really early on. Fashion Archive has a great one on fashion resources. Let's see. Tell you what, I'm going to show you guys this thing that Lindsay got me. That's what we're going to do right now. I'll be right back. Hang on. Let me figure out where it is. Don't go anywhere. It's upstairs. Again, don't go anywhere. It's at 79 right now. If it goes down, I'm going to be so mad at you guys. Okay, hi. Oh, we went up to 80. Great. Nobody left. Perfect. Okay, so Lindsay is very into historical clothing construction. And so as a product of that, she's gotten very into fabrics and like really nice textiles and stuff. And she has a massive collection of fabrics and textiles up there in our loft that is her studio. And she recently... no, I'm not giving away any of your secrets, Lindsay. She came across a really good deal on some... Is this figured silk, Lindsay? Yeah, Lindsay's in the chat, everybody. Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, Lindsay, have you heard of Bliss Foster? Here, I'm going to check and see if... Is it figured silk? I just got told about this yesterday, so I'm like, yeah. So it's a brocade. It's a silk brocade. But yeah, so this is a fabric by a brand called Scalamandra, and they are one of the nicest textile companies in the world. This is a brand that your favorite designer's favorite designer wishes that they could source their fabrics from, but they don't have the budget for it. It is extremely expensive. But Lindsay is very plugged in, and she found a... I actually don't even know the process of how she got it. Lindsay found this for super cheap. It's not that... It's not... Oh, yeah. Scalamandra is spelled... All of their consumer stuff is like about like drapes and wallpaper, which is kind of weird. So it's Scalamandre, Scalamandra. Yeah, Lindsay's plugged in. But yeah, anyway, this is getting made into a waistcoat for me that is like... All right, bye, Martin. Yeah, it's getting made into a waistcoat, which I'm like so stoked about. Incredibly stoked. I'm so amped. All right, so let's do one more question, and then I gotta bounce because I need to finish this Margella video, or it's not gonna get done. She's his wife, bruh. Bruh. Oh. Let's see. Androgyny in fashion. Yes. Okay, one more question then. Androgyny in fashion? Oh my gosh. Where did you come from?
I live here.
Oh, she does live here. Jeffrey B. Small. Hey, Will, I have a thought about Jeffrey B. Small.
Oh man.
Hey, Will, can you confirm if this Jeffrey B. Small shirt is real, please? because I actually was talking to Lindsay about that like literally 30 minutes ago. Well, not 30, an hour ago. Yeah, I got this for the very low, and I think Lindsay broke into your house. I think that the care tags, yeah. Do you actually collect Jeffrey? Because that is oh man, I do have paint on the shirt. Care tag, care tag, care tag, care tag. Oh, so that is the care tag. So that is the tag right there. It's the whole thing in one. I don't know if you can see it, but it says professional clean only. It like won't focus. It says professional clean only up here. But yeah, I found this for very, very low, and I mean it is just a T, and it's very tiny. It like only fits onto Lindsay, but yeah, I don't know, because there's so much. I mean, I know there's like a ton of fakes of his. I don't really know how to confirm it. I don't even know how to confirm like when it was made and stuff. They didn't know what they had. Yeah, that's my guess, which is great, because oh man, this music has gotten very chaotic. I'm gonna skip forward a little bit. This was a little bit better at the beginning. A little bit broader. An old CCP turtleneck, very cheap, and I'm also low-key thinking, is this actually for real? Yeah, I know, seriously, it's weird when you like find something and you're like, I don't know if this is actually, Let me think real quick, because like Lindsay, now that we're like showing stuff, Lindsay got me some like birthday presents that I really like a whole lot, so I'm gonna go like show those really quick.
Is he gone? I think he's gone. Y'all are cute.
And it's at the cleaners. Awesome. I'm so glad we all waited 2 minutes for that. Okay, cool. One more question, and then I gotta bounce. Carol Christian Powell is the Ed Gein of weird, tall, skinny, white fashion teens. Analyze the Yoji show. Yes, I really want to analyze the Yoji show. I need information about them because Yoji Yamamoto is a awesome pattern cutter and he shows that off really, really well. What I need to know is show notes, inspiration. Yoji's written a few books. If anybody has any scans of those, like I tried reading, someone sent me a PDF of My Dear Bomb, which is one that he wrote a while ago, a few decades ago. And he was like, yeah, he goes into a bunch of detail about some collections or whatever. It turned out to be a PDF of like the first 20 pages and the last 20 pages of My Dear Bomb, which is a 200-page book. So I wasn't able to use that information really. Yes, if you could, Junior, please give him a call and hit him up for some show notes. He's another one where it's like, I guess they pass out show notes at the thing and then just don't do anything about it. But I'm wondering, kind of like, does Yoji still have like luxury stuff anymore? I asked this from like a complete state of actual ignorance, but like, is like Yoji Yamamoto pour homme and like Yoji Yamamoto mainline women's stuff, like are those real things anymore, or is it all like Y3 and the other brand, that like other streetwear brand? Yeah, Michael Kors clothes are trash, bro. Michael Kors clothes are big time trash. He's another one. I hated on Michael Kors very vocally for years, and I switched to Zara. But yeah, Michael Kors would be like low-key nothing without like the people at Vogue like freaking out about his stuff. And they freak out about his stuff because he's their #1 advertiser and has been for like 15 years. He has a bunch of diffusions. Yeah, like Sight. That's the one. I have a backpack from Sight and Ground Y, but the main line is still a thing. It just I keep hearing about his company having like financial troubles and stuff, and so like I keep wondering if it's like does this just exist in spirit only, or is it like for real a thing, like there's like lots of these clothes being made, or is it just like we make like 5 of each item and we send them to a few places where people might buy them in Paris, and then that's kind of it. Anyway, so this was wonderful. Thank you guys for showing up. I want to do these a little bit more frequently and with a little bit more consistency. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys showing up. I have a couple ideas for like fun live stream things to do. But yeah, adios. Y'all have a good Sunday. Bye.